Hello, good morning, and welcome to our latest Railbookers webinar. I can see that some of you are still signing in as we speak. In fact, a few people have just sent through messages to let us know that they're still signing in and just setting their audio up and so on. So what we'll do is we'll pause things for about another minute or so, just to allow everyone who's currently signing in time to get themselves settled and ready. And then we'll start the webinar in round about 1 minute's time. So once again, thanks for joining us this morning, and speak to you all very, very soon. Hello, good morning once again, and welcome to our latest Railbookers webinar. Welcome to everyone who's just joined us. Today's webinar is entitled No Fly Holidays, Top Destinations by Train. I'd like to introduce myself first of all. My name is Matt, and it's my pleasure to be with you on the webinar today. Now, before we get started, there are some free handouts that you can download. I will be referring to at least one of those in the course of the webinar today. So if you'd like to download a copy, please feel free to do so at any time. I will try and give you a reminder just before we bring things to a conclusion as well. Also, if you have any questions you would like to ask, please feel free to use the questions box, which should look a little bit like this image on the screen here, to ask your questions at any point during the webinar. It can be about anything that we cover today, or in fact, anything related to Railbookers at all, really. So it might be a question about the webinar today. It could be a topic you'd like us to cover in future webinars. We're always keen to hear about those. So if there's an area or a destination you'd like us to feature in a forthcoming webinar, please do let us know. Or if you simply fancy letting us know where you're interested in traveling to next, whatever it might be, then please do let us know that as well. We're always happy to hear from you, as I say. So what will we cover in today's presentation? So today we'll look at a number of great holidays for 2021, all of which you can do without flying at all. So all of which can be done by train all the way. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I just need to let you know we do have a Discover Europe sale, which is currently ongoing. And in fact, it ends at the end of this week on the 28th of August. You can save up to £500 per couple on a number of our holiday itineraries. So if you've been looking at this for a little while, then you've only got a couple of days left to make those savings. If you'd like to take a look, if you haven't had a look at these sale offers already, then you can find those using the special offers tab on the Railbookers website. That's railbookers.co.uk, and you can choose those for holidays traveling next year and beyond. So whenever it is that you might like to travel, you can save up to £500 per couple. So just before we start looking at some of these no-fly holidays, we'll do a very quick introduction, really for the benefit of anyone out there listening who hasn't traveled with Railbookers before and maybe isn't familiar with who we are and what we do. So why do travelers love traveling with Railbookers? Well, there's a number of different reasons for that, really. Rail travel really does offer a number of bucket list experiences, particularly for special occasions. So it could be that you've always wanted to travel by train coast to coast across the USA. Maybe you've always wanted to visit Venice in style on board the Orient Express. Or perhaps you just like to tick off one or two destinations that you've always wanted to visit, but you've never quite got around to it for whatever reason. Whatever the occasion, whatever the example is that you'd like to do, there's plenty of opportunity to tick off these bucket list experiences traveling by train. It also offers great freedom and flexibility too. The vast majority of holidays that you'll see, certainly on the webinar today, but also on our website and in our brochure, can be done any day of the year, all year round, up to 2 years in advance. So you've got great flexibility in terms of choosing when you'd like to travel. As many of you will agree, it's also the most scenic way to travel too. You really do see a lot more when you're traveling at ground level, and the scenery changes obviously the further you travel, and it makes the journey part of the overall holiday experience rather than just a means of getting from A to B. All of the itineraries that you see here are customizable. What does that mean? Well, it means you might like the general idea but want to change it slightly. You might wish it was slightly longer or slightly shorter, who knows. You might like to stay longer in one destination that we have advertised. Maybe on a particular holiday it says it's a 2-night stay and you'd rather make it 3 or 4. That's fine. You might like to add a destination to a holiday combination that isn't originally included. That's fine too. All you need to do is let us know. And also for the vast majority of these holidays, which will be traveling in more than 3 months in advance, so in particular obviously for next year, of course, it's just a small deposit now and you pay the remaining balance later. So what are we talking about? We're talking about a small deposit, typically from the region of £200 to £250 per person for most of our holidays, and then you would pay the remaining balance around about 90 days before travel. And really, whether you're looking at going in 2 days' time or 2 years' time, our holidays go anytime, any day, anywhere. So if the train goes there, then so do we. We do also have a maximum flexibility offer in place at the moment. For new reservations, you can change travel dates or postpone your trip at any point up until 5 days prior to departure. And that's also the same for existing reservations. You can reschedule at any point up until 5 days prior to your departure date. And that's without incurring any change fees to do so. You also benefit from 24-hour support from our global team, not just here in London, but also our colleagues in Sydney, Australia, Toronto, Canada, and over across the pond in the USA, Beverly, which is just outside of Boston on the East Coast, and Laguna Hills over in California too. Now here is one of those handouts that I was talking about before. So if you would like this and like to download a copy, please feel free to do so. This great map shows with the multicolored lines some of the main high-speed rail routes and different train operators, different types of train running around Europe. And one of the confusing things can be that all of these different operators and companies, they don't always talk to each other, for want of a better word. They don't always communicate with each other as well as they could do. They certainly don't release all of the trains for booking at the same time, and it can just be a little bit confusing to know what's the best way of traveling from A to B. Particularly in many cases, there's more than one way of doing so. So how do you know which is the right option for you? So one of the things that we aim to do here at Railbookers is to take the mystery out of rail travel for you. And one of the ways that we do that is by working directly with all of the main rail operators in Europe, North America, and beyond. So, for example, our good friends and colleagues at Trenitalia, SNCF, Deutsche Bahn, Renfe, who are Spanish railways, Swiss Railways, Eurostar, where so many of our holidays begin, of course, and across the pond with Via Rail in Canada and Amtrak, of course, too, and many, many more. And what that allows us to do is firstly to be able to offer you the best available prices, which is of course very important. But not only that, it also means that we're able to advertise all of the holidays that you see here today and on our website up to 2 years in advance. And that's really important because obviously a lot of us at the moment are looking at holidays a bit further in advance than we normally would. But also if it's a particular special occasion that you're looking to celebrate and you want to be away at that time, or you're traveling at a particularly busy time, it's great to know that you can lock in the holiday and secure those dates well in advance. And that also means all the rail travel is confirmed at this year's prices. So you're not going to be subject to any price increases that may happen in the 2 years between now and travel. Now, a question we are getting asked at the moment is how are rail operators maintaining a safe travel environment? And they're doing that in a number of different ways, really. Pretty much every rail operator is requiring facial coverings both in stations and on trains for all passengers and staff. In many cases, they're also stopping the sale of food and drink on board trains. You can bring food and drink on board with you, but they're stopping the sale of food and drink on board in many cases. Also, most of the operators are changing the seat configuration and seat allocation on board as well to allow for that all-important social distancing and that gap between passengers. Already existing cleaning and sanitation measures have been increased, and where possible, they're carrying out contactless ticket control, again, just to try and keep that social distancing wherever possible. And I can vouch for this motley collection of individuals that you can see on the screen because these are my colleagues, or some of them at any rate. And each year we're lucky enough to be able to try out one of the holidays that we offer in our portfolio, which is great because it allows us to get familiar with obviously the destinations, the hotels, the sightseeing tours, the train journeys too, that we feature, and continue to evaluate and improve the holidays that we offer to you. But it also means that if you do have a particular question about one holiday or one destination, then there'll always be someone available who's done that particular trip. So as we like to put it, we know because we go. Okay, so let's look at some of these great holidays that you can do without flying, all of which you can do either later this year if you'd like to, and of course all of next year and in 2022 as well. And on many of them you'll see, as you can see with our first example, they're included in the Discover Europe sale that we have on at the moment. So if you'd like, you have a particular interest in one of the holidays that you see here, then you can make a big saving, regardless of whether you're traveling next year or even the year after. Those savings are applicable for these holidays whenever you're looking to travel. So make sure you take advantage of those if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so the first one is a trip to Switzerland on board our classic Glacier and Bernina Express holiday. This one is 5 days in duration, and we start off from London. Now, each time I mention that, if you are one of those people who live closer to Ebbsfleet International or Ashford International, of course, you can start the journey there if you prefer. And equally, of course, we can add on train travel from your local station down to London if you'd like that too. So we start off from London with a Eurostar journey over to Paris, which is around about 2 hours and 20 minutes in duration, before taking a high-speed TGV Illyria to Basel in Switzerland. And that's just over 3 hours, around about 3 hours and 6 minutes. From in Basel, it's just a simple change of platforms before taking a connecting train onto Interlaken for a 2-night stay. And whilst you're in Interlaken, you have a day trip to the Jungfraujoch, the highest railway station in Europe, which is an absolutely amazing experience. You get wonderful views from the top of there. On a clear day, you can see as far as the Black Forest. You can see into France, Germany. Absolutely stunning views, and a very, very memorable day out indeed. Next, it's time to travel on board the famous Glacier Express, the slowest express train in Europe, as you travel on to Chur, the oldest town in Switzerland, for a 2-night stay. Whilst in Chur, you also have a day trip on the Bernina Express down to the Italian border at Tirano and then back again before heading back to either Basel or Zurich and heading back to the UK. And if you do prefer to fly home for for reasons of time or whatever, obviously you can fly back from Zurich if you prefer. But today we're going to be focusing on holidays without flights. So to travel back home by train, it's very, very easy. Just take the train from Corfu to Zurich, and then Zurich back to Paris, Paris through to London. And here are some of the great destinations that you'd be visiting on this particular holiday. So on the top left, you can see Interlaken. The name literally means between the lakes, and it benefits from a beautiful location in between Lake Thun and Lake Brienz. You can take trips out on the lakes as well, which is actually included in your travel ticket. So you can see Interlaken from the lakes and explore, take in some of that wonderful scenery from there. What a lot of people do actually is on this particular holiday is stop off and spend an hour or two in the Swiss capital on the way. So you can see on the bottom right there the image of bottom left, sorry, the image of Bern, which is the capital. So if you fancy spending an hour or two in the Swiss capital before heading down through to Interlaken, maybe popping and visiting the famous bears who are the local residents whilst in Interlaken, then that's highly recommended too. And on the bottom right, you can see Chur, the oldest town in Switzerland, which will be your base to take the Bernina Express journey from. So some absolutely amazing destinations that you would visit whilst in Switzerland, all of which, as you can see here, surrounded by that wonderful Swiss alpine scenery. And the train journeys themselves are absolutely stunning. We spoke about the Jungfrau earlier, and here we can see the famous Glacier Express. The name Express is a bit of a misnomer, really, because it's known as the slowest express train in the world. The emphasis isn't on speed here at all. It's really about taking in some of the amazing scenery, and it's never changing landscape that you pass. As you can see here, you can see mountains, you pass over a number of viaducts, lots of lakes, gorges, really different changing landscapes, many of which it's not possible to see using any other form of transport. In fact, this is actually the only direct train that runs on this particular route as well. Each seat has got these wonderful panoramic windows, which you can hopefully see on the bottom right there, which stretch all the way up from the seat level all up to the ceiling, so everybody gets an absolutely perfect view, and it really does maximize the scenery. You get this wonderful view wherever you're sat on board the train, and if you want to, you can also order a meal on board the train as well, served at your seat. There's a choice between a la carte options and a set menu, and they do also serve their own Glacier Express wine and Glacier Express beer as well, so if you fancy trying those, well, it would be rude not to, I suppose. But an absolutely fantastic travel experience. And for anyone who loves beautiful scenery, this is an absolute must. As is this next journey, equally famous, the Bernina Express. And really, this great image here, I think, shows some of the wonderful scenery that you would encounter during this particular journey. Once again, it's a great mixture of mountains, that wonderful alpine scenery, lakes, you cross over a huge number of bridges during the journey. And in fact, the whole Bernina Express route is UNESCO World Heritage listed. So that gives you some idea of the great scenery that you're passing through. It's really, the best way of describing it, I think, is as a miracle of engineering as well, because the train manages to climb to it at its highest point. It's 7,391 feet above sea level, so pretty high, and it manages to climb that high by going over a series of spirals and bridges. So it slowly manages to climb from sea level to, as I say, over 7,000 feet above it, and you get to take in all of this amazing scenery while you do so. And you can see here on the image on the top right, once again, you've got those great panoramic windows that allow you to really take in all that amazing scenery wherever your seat might be. So everybody gets an absolutely perfect view. So great for photographs, videos, and just sitting back and taking it all in. Which is my favorite of the two? It's a difficult question to answer, really. Everybody who's done both journeys, I think, has a different favorite. So some people prefer the Glacier Express, some people prefer the Bernina. I think the only real way to know which one you prefer is obviously to try both out. And they're also different at different times of year, because you can see here you get a little bit of snow on top at the highest points on the journey on the Bernina Express, regardless of the time of year. But obviously, if you travel in winter or the early parts of the year, January, February, you get a lot more snow around. So it's a different experience, different feel to the scenery. I suppose if you twisted my arm, and I hope nobody from the Glass Express is listening, but I probably would pick the Bernina as my favourite. But really, the best way to experience the two, as we have on this particular holiday, is to do the two journeys together, because they're absolutely stunning and they are different, different experiences, and both really, really memorable. So, I think it looks fantastic, doesn't it? Looking at some of these wide open spaces after the year that we've had so far. So, for some of that wonderful Swiss air and Swiss amazing scenery, this holiday is a must do, I think. Okay, so moving on to a different part of Europe next of all. And once again, as you can see, this qualifies as part of the sale we have on at the moment. This is our Aix-en-Provence and Avignon holiday. So a bit of a French feel now. And this one is 5 days in duration. Here we start off with Eurostar journey from London through to Paris. Once again, that's about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. And then you connect in Paris, a straightforward connection, before taking the train directly to Aix-en-Provence, which is 3 hours and 5 minutes. You have a 2-night stay in Aix-en-Provence before heading back to Avignon for a 2-night stay, and then retracing your steps from a direct train from Avignon back through to Paris and then on through to London. And here are the two beautiful destinations that you visit on this particular holiday. Aix-en-Provence, you can see on the top of the screen, top left and top right. Originally, it was founded by the Romans as a spa town, and it's a really great place to relax, to people watch, and just have a wander around, taking in some of the beautiful buildings and architecture. There's a great maze of medieval streets which eventually lead to the main street, which is called Cour Mirabeau, which is a tree-lined street, and it's lined with cafes, as I say, perfect for relaxing with a drink or with a book, and just enjoy the scenery, the sun, hopefully, and take in some people watching as well. The most famous of those cafes is called Les Deux Garçons, and this over time has been frequented by famous figures from French history like Camus, Zola and Cézanne, amongst others. So lots and lots of history there, and it's a really relaxing destination. It's very, very walkable too. And also, we talked about customizing holidays before, didn't we? If you were planning to extend your stay a little bit, there's lots of great trips that we can do out into the Provençal countryside as well, to explore some of the surrounding villages and take in some of that wonderful French scenery as well. Next up, we have Avignon, and at the bottom left, you can see the famous Palais des Papes and its medieval stone ramparts. Avignon used to be the seat of the Catholic popes, and it actually remained under papal rule until 1791. And it's a really fascinating place to visit, so I highly recommend visiting the Palais des Papes while you are in Avignon. But the whole city has lots and lots of history. There's lots to see and lots to visit. The walled city itself, the historic centre, is UNESCO World Heritage listed again. So again, gives you an idea of the historic importance of the town. And as you can see from the beautiful image on the bottom right, it's a great setting. Again, it's not a particularly big destination, so very, very easy to explore on foot, like Aix-en-Provence is. Lots of history, lots of culture, lots of great restaurants too. And just a perfect opportunity to spend a relaxing couple of days. And of course, you can have a walk across the famous bridge as well while you're there. Now, we know many of you are obviously looking at holidays closer to home, and a really popular destination at the moment, for obvious reasons, is Scotland. And this particular holiday that we'll look at next is our trip to the Scottish Highlands and the Isle of Skye. This one is 8 days in duration. So the journey starts off in London, and it begins with an overnight journey on one of the only two overnight trains in the UK on board the Caledonian Sleeper from London up to Inverness. In Inverness, we have a 3-night stay, which includes a hop-on, hop-off tour to explore Inverness, and then a full day trip over to explore the Isle of Skye and Eilean Castle. Then we head down south to the Scottish capital, Edinburgh, for a 2-night stay, including a city tour, before taking the train back to London for a 1-night stay to finish things up. And as you can see there, the train journey actually from Edinburgh down to London is quite a nice one as well. If you look at the map in the middle of the screen, as the train leaves Edinburgh, you can see it hugs the coastline pretty tight along the northeast coast there. So you get lots of great views of the sea on this particular journey as well. And here are some of the great destinations that you will visit on this particular holiday. So top left, of course, we've got the Houses of Parliament in the capital. Bottom left, we have Inverness, the largest city in the Highlands, and there's some great places of interest to visit, which you will get to explore via the tour that we have here. There's the 19th century cathedral, there's the indoor Victorian market too, all of which is in a wonderful Highland setting, of course. And across from that, we have the Royal Mile in Edinburgh, one of my favourite destinations, not just in the UK, but a wonderful place to visit. I'm sure anyone who's been there will agree with me. And I really love the contrast between the medieval Old Town, the Georgian New Town. They're on 2 slightly different levels as well, and there's lots of wonderful side streets that you can take to explore as well. That always seem to lead you off into a number of fascinating different destinations. And there's you can go visit the Scottish Crown Jewels as well at Edinburgh Castle. Lots and lots of great activities to do, and it's just a wonderful historic setting. You know, lovely architecture, and a great destination to visit and explore. And whilst in Edinburgh, top right, we have a trip over to the Isle of Skye as well, which is a full day tour. And this is a great one to, again, get out into those wide open spaces, the great outdoors, and experience some of the natural beauty over in Scotland, in the Isle of Skye. Lots of different landscapes from, beautiful scenery, as we can see here, to kind of rugged coastlines and some of those wonderful little fishing villages with all the multicoloured houses. So you see all of the main sites over in Skye, including Eilean Castle, which is a castle on quite a picturesque area where 3 lochs converge and come together. So you'll see that too. And you see all of the main sites. Hopefully you'll get to see some of the famous wildlife over there as well. And you also get some free time during the day as well to explore. So a full day trip over from Inverness, so plenty of time to travel around the island and to explore and see everything that beautiful destination has to offer. So some great destinations and some great scenery, great beautiful wide open spaces, and all pretty much on our doorstep as well. And this is our method of transport for reaching Inverness. This is the Caledonian Sleeper. As I say, it's one of only 2 sleeper trains within the UK. There are 3 different types of accommodation. The first one, the regular cabin, looks a little bit like the image on the right-hand side you can see here, with the usual sleeper configuration of 2 beds, one above the other one. You can upgrade for a small additional sum, around about £15 to £20 per person usually, to the next category up, which is called the club room. And the difference between the 2 is the club room is exactly the same, but it has its own private ensuite bathroom within the cabin. So you have all the facilities that you need, and it also includes breakfast, which normally you can take either in the club lounge, or you can have it served in your cabin if you prefer. And finally, there is also the option to upgrade to the cabin which you can see on the top left, the Caledonian Double. Now this one is pretty special, because as you can see here, you get, amongst other things, you get a double bed within the cabin. Now, there's very, very few overnight trains, as many of you I'm sure will know, that you get the option to enjoy such comfort and have a double bed on board the train. So this is not quite as rare as hen's teeth, but we're getting on in that direction. If you do like the looks of this, there are only 2 of these on any train. So you do need to get in early, get in quick, to make sure you secure one, because there aren't very many of them. So you get the double bed, you get some very nice luxurious bathroom products and toiletries as well. Once again, you get your breakfast included too. And whilst traveling on board the Caledonian Sleeper, you can, most of the time, you can enjoy meal in the evening as you leave London and head north. So whether it's traditional, there's generally a traditional Scottish flavour. So whether it's salmon or whatever it might be that you fancy, or the traditional haggis, tatties and neeps too, you can tuck into those and enjoy the meal as the train heads north towards Scotland. And if you prefer just relaxing and having a drink, well, there's a range of Highland whiskies and other exciting options available, or you can just sit back and have a soft drink or a coffee or whatever it might be. It's the social hub of the train and relax as the train heads north. And as I say, when you if you upgrade to one of the two cabin types that we just spoken about, you can enjoy your breakfast in that club lounge the following morning as well, which is particularly great when you've arrived in Scotland and you've got some of that wonderful Highland scenery outside Inverness as you're starting to approach the destination. Next up, it's our Paris and Amsterdam holiday, which is 6 days in duration. So here we start off with Eurostar from London through to Paris. We have a 2-night stay in Paris before heading up to Amsterdam for a 3-night stay. That's via high-speed Thalys train. And then currently you would return to London via Brussels, but we have just had news that very, very shortly you'll be able to do that journey by direct Eurostar from Amsterdam through to London as well, which is fantastic. So no need to change trains on the way back. So 2 great destinations and lots to see. Really, Paris is one of those destinations that you can always keep going back to, I think, isn't it? Because there's so much to see and do. And whatever it is that you're interested in, really, whether you like history, shopping, culture, food, people watching, whatever it might be, all of those and many more activities are all catered for in Paris. As I say, you can just keep visiting time and time again. And Amsterdam is perfect for a lot of those activities as well. We can see some of the famous parts of Amsterdam here, from Museum Square on the top right to some of those wonderful houses along the canals that you can see on the bottom left. And lots of other great activities too, from visiting Anne Frank's house, the flower markets. One thing I would definitely recommend in Amsterdam, if you've not done it before, is to take a little tour exploring Amsterdam from the canals, because you get a completely different perspective on the city. And if you'd like that particular tour, it's something that we can arrange for you, so you just need to ask and let us know. But whilst it's obviously a very easy city to explore on foot, you do get a really unique perspective. It's not every destination you can travel around by canal, let's face it. So I'd highly recommend doing that if you have the time, because it's really interesting, I think. Plus, you get to dodge the cyclist that way as well, which is always handy in Amsterdam. Bottom right, you can see the Thalys train as it heads through the tulip fields, and this is the high-speed train that you would take traveling between Paris and Amsterdam. So 2 fantastic cities that you can visit time and time again. So if you would like to head out of the UK perhaps next year, but don't fancy traveling so far, but would like to visit a couple of great destinations, these 2 are really easy by train. And the fact that they're so well connected by high-speed rail, it's literally direct train between the 2, and just a short journey London to Paris, and then now direct Amsterdam back to London as well, means it couldn't be more straightforward. And next up, it's our holiday along the Arlberg Pass. So some more great scenery ahead. This trip goes to Zurich, Salzburg, and Vienna, and it's 7 days in duration. So once again, here you start off in London with Eurostar journey over to Paris, before taking high-speed train over to Zurich, which is just over the 4-hour mark, around about 4 hours and 6 minutes. We have time to spend the late afternoon and evening in Zurich, perhaps go for a wander by the river. And then the next day, absolutely amazing scenery as you take the train through the Swiss and Austrian Alps over the spectacular Arlberg Pass. Really, really beautiful for a 2-night stay in picture postcard Salzburg. And then you carry on along the Arlberg Pass for a 3-night stay in the capital of Vienna. And then returning to the UK, you can take an overnight sleeper from Vienna through to either Cologne or Brussels. It varies depending which day of the week you travel, and then from there back on to London. And what great destinations they are as well. We got Zurich, first of all, for the overnight stop. Again, we talked about customizing holidays, so you might decide, well, actually, I'd rather have an extra night, so I can spend a full day in Zurich. That's really, really easy to do. But you can see here, I was talking about the River Limmat, and it's a really nice place to spend the evening, perhaps have a meal there. There are lots of great restaurants where you can dine outside and enjoy that wonderful setting in the old town, so I'd highly recommend that. And then next up, it's picture postcard Salzburg, which really is everything that we think of when we think about some of these great Austrian destinations. Really, it's got a perfect setting surrounded by the Alps. And again, the old town is UNESCO World Heritage listed again. And again, it's very, very walkable. It's not too large, very easy to explore on foot. You don't really need public transport or taxis particularly. And you can visit places like there's the large medieval castle. You can visit Mozart's birthplace. Lots and lots of great places to visit. So perfect for anyone who loves history, culture, anything like that. Lots and lots of great places to see and visit. As indeed there are in Vienna, the capital, of course. So many beautiful buildings, great activities that you can do. Whether it's visiting the Spanish riding school or simply relaxing and enjoying some of the famous Sacca torta, which is a little bit naughty, but it's an absolute must-do when you're in Vienna. And of course, there's the famous Schönbrunn Palace, as you can see, bottom left, which used to be the main summer residence of the Habsburgs, and it's got over 1,440 rooms. So lots and lots of history there, lots to explore. And again, the main part of, or the main centre of Vienna, if you like, within the what they call the Ringstrasse, is really easy to explore on foot, like a lot of the destinations that we've seen today. So what I like about a lot of these places is that you don't really need to be using public transport all the time or taxis. You can just go for a leisurely stroll and you can see not everything, but you can see most of what you want to see very, very easily on foot. And we mentioned the amazing journey that you take to get there. The image on the bottom right is taken from the journey over the Arlberg Pass. As you can see here, once again, you get great views of the Swiss and Austrian Alps. So it really is an absolutely stunning, stunning journey. It's one that perhaps goes slightly under the radar because it's one that perhaps not everybody is aware of, but the journey is absolutely beautiful, as I know many of you will know, having done the journey with us, I'm sure. But there's some absolutely amazing views and wonderful scenery to take in. A really nice restaurant car on board the train as well, so you can relax, have a meal while taking in some of those wonderful alpine views as well. So highly recommended if you're looking for a mix of great scenery and then some wonderful historic destinations at the end of it. This holiday is getting more and more popular year on year. Really, it's always been a popular itinerary for us, but each year we see more and more people looking to do this particular trip. And looking at the destinations here, it's not really hard to see why, is it? It's got everything you want from a holiday by train. I think a beautiful scenic train journey to get to the destination, and then wonderful places to see and explore once you get there, which I think is exactly what you're looking for, isn't it? So that brings to an end our suggestions of some great destinations you can visit without flying. But of course, like I said before, we love to hear from you. So we'd love to hear where you are looking to plan your next holiday to. Whether you're looking for some inspiration from us on places that you could combine or different ideas, that's obviously great. We're happy to help. But equally, if you just fancy sharing some good news, it's always fun doing the planning stages, isn't it? So if you fancy letting us know where it is you'd like to travel to next, and what time of year you're looking to go, then that would be great. We always love to hear from you. And like I said before, if you have a destination you'd like to know a little bit more about and you'd like it to feature in a forthcoming webinar, why not let us know that too? You've got the questions box on the screen, so we'd love to hear from you, whatever your feedback might be. I just need to take a quick moment to say thank you to everyone who voted for us in the British Travel Awards last year, when we were very, very delighted to be awarded the overall winner in the Best Rail Holiday Company category. So for everyone listening to the webinar today who voted for us, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. A reminder of our website, you can visit us at railbookers.co.uk. Those special offers I mentioned, if you'd like to find out more about those, remember you've only got a few days to do so, to take advantage of those. You can click on the tab in the middle of the screen that says special offers, so very, very easy to find. You can also search for all of the holidays that you've seen on the webinar today, and many, many, many more besides, either by searching by destinations, so under Austria or Scotland or wherever it might be, or the individual cities. Of course, you can also search by popular train routes, by different types of holidays. You can search by luxury trains. You can search by lakes and mountains. They've got their own category as well. Lots and lots of different options, really. And you can also order our 2020 Railbookers brochures as well, if you would like to do that. And here they are. You've got our main Railbookers brochure, which features a selection of some of our most popular holidays in Europe, North America, and beyond. Our sister company, Amtrak Vacations, which offers a number of great rail holidays around the USA and Canada. And if it's Canada that you're particularly interested in, you might like our VRail Vacations brochure. VRail is the national rail operator over in Canada, and in combination with them, we've come up with some great itineraries that showcase everything Canada has to offer, from traveling coast to coast, traveling through the Rockies, Toronto, Niagara Falls, the French-speaking parts, Quebec, Montreal, Rocky Mountaineer is in there as well. So lots and lots of great options. If you'd like any or all of those, all you need to do is let us know. And in fact, you can do it by the website, but as you're on the website, on the webinar rather right now, again, it might be easier if you just let us know in the questions box which brochure or brochures you would like, and we'll be happy to get some sent over to you. A couple of dates for your diary, forthcoming webinars, and as I say, if there are themes that you'd like us to feature over the next couple of weeks, then make sure you let us know, because we'd love to be able to feature some of the destinations that you're interested in. It's great to see so many of you sending through your ideas on places you'd like us to feature, so please do keep them coming. So 1st and 3rd of September, I can't believe it's September already next week. That's a little bit scary, isn't it? How fast time flies. Scenic Switzerland, so some amazing scenery are going to be available in that one. Some great scenic holidays, I'm sure. And then on the 8th and 10th of September, best of the Italian lakes. So if you'd like a great relaxing lakeside destination, then that could be of interest. Slightly different theme on the 15th and 17th, we have luxury rail experiences. And then further afield on the 22nd and 24th, Canadian Rockies and beyond. And then on the 28th and 30th of September, iconic rail journey. So we've got a full month lined up there with 2 webinars each week. And here you can see the themes that we're going to feature. So make sure you sign up for those if any of those are of interest. We look forward to having you on the webinar with us. Just a reminder that Discover Europe sale I mentioned, most of the holidays we looked at today are eligible for that particular sale. You can save up to £500 per couple, and that sale will end, close of business on Friday, the 28th. So if you're already looking at something, or one of the holidays that you've seen on the webinar today has caught your fancy, then just a short time remaining to take advantage of that. And on a lighter note, these pictures were taken of myself and my colleagues back in the middle of March, when we all moved home amidst all the uncertainty that was going on and the general questions on how things were going to work. Would we be able to access everything that we needed to from home? Were we all going to run out of toilet roll? All those other questions that were going on at that time. And it's obviously been an uncertain year, a difficult year for many people. And really our message is, whenever you're looking at traveling again, and we know everybody's different, we've seen many of you traveling with us over the last month or so. We've seen people looking to travel later this year, lot of people looking at booking holidays for next year and beyond too. So whenever it is you're ready, our message is whenever you're ready, we're ready too. So we're here ready to look after you and come up with some great ideas with you whenever you're ready to plan your next trip. Okay, that pretty much brings things to an end. We're almost out of time. So if you would like to download one of those handouts or all of those handouts and you haven't done so already, now is the time to do so because we're almost out of time. So before we do, let's see if we can have a look at the questions you've sent through. And perhaps if we've got time, we'll see if we can pick one or two to answer very, very quickly. Thank you very much to everyone who has submitted a question. I can see a lot that's come through today, which is absolutely great. We won't have time to answer them all now, unfortunately, because there's just too many of them. But what I can say is everyone who submitted a question, one of the team will reach out to you in the next day or so to make sure your question gets answered. So if I don't pick yours very quickly now, we will reach out to everybody within the next day or so. So we will answer every single one, I promise. Right, let's see if we can pick a very quick and easy one right now. Okay, we have a question from Maureen, I think that is. Hello, Maureen. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining us today. And Maureen's question is, you mentioned that we can look to travel next year. How far in advance are these holidays available? That's a great question, Maureen. Everything you see here and everything you see on our website, pretty much you can look at booking up to 2 years in advance. So if you're not looking at traveling this year, obviously you can travel next year and even beyond that. So we can look at those holidays next year or the year after, 2021 or 2022, depending when you'd like to go. So it's never too early, basically, is the answer to that. Okay, let's see if we can maybe pick another easy one to answer here. Okay, we have a question from Peter. Hello there, Peter. Thanks for joining us today once again. Hope you're safe and well too. And Peter's question is, can you tell us a little bit more about the hotels that are featured on these holidays? Great question, Peter. Yes. So each holiday, if you were to find it on our website, will have a selected hotel which the itinerary is based on. However, we work with a number of properties in each destination, ranging from 3-star through to 5. And of course, you can swap those out to choose the hotel that's the best option for you. So if you'd rather stay in, whatever the star rating is that you normally go for, 3, 4, or 5, we can obviously cater for that. We'll have different options available to you. And if you prefer, more traditional or more contemporary style, whatever it might be, you just need to let us know. Similarly, if there's a particular landmark or part of each destination you'd like to stay near. As I say, we've got a number of different options. They're all centrally located and they're all easy to access from the train stations as well. So if you do have a particular preference, then all you need to do is let us know the star rating or the type of hotel it is that you're looking for, and we'll be able to accommodate that for you, Peter. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. We're just about out of time. So once again, thank you to everyone who submitted your questions and your holiday suggestions, the places you'd like to travel to, your webinar suggestions too. Everyone who has submitted a question, as I say, you will get one of the team will get in touch with you just to make sure we answer all of those remaining questions for you. So really, we're at the end of the webinar once again. So the most important thing of all, I suppose, is to wish you all the very best. I hope you're all safe and well. Please do remain that way. It's very, very important. Please do look after yourselves. And thank you very much for joining me. Hopefully, as I say, there's lots of webinars coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it'd be great to have the pleasure of your company on a future webinar. But most important thing, stay safe, stay well, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.